Hello and welcome to Tolaris University. In this video, we'll show you a bus entry scenario with multiple buses. And there are many reasons why you may want to use XPressEntry for your bus shuttles. One of the reasons is if you have a small parking area within your complex, but you have a parking lot where you have your employees park their cars, and then you can move them into perhaps a plant area or your office complex. You can also want to move your employees from inside of the city or from various locations across the city into your complex to ease their moving from the city into the office. Now, XPressEntry gives you the ability to do this very efficiently, allowing your employees to check into the bus. It is also possible to grant access to certain employees into certain buses by using the entry to the bus as an access control area. So as I said, one of the things you can do is to move your employees from a parking lot directly into your complex. And this is very useful because if you have time and attendance, you can have your employees check in when they arrive at the site and not lose the time for the transit into the plant area or into your office region. Checking in employees into your facility is very simple. You just have to present the badge to either the bus attendant or to the driver who will stand at the door of the bus, and he will just grant access or deny access based on the credentials of the employee and the result on the handheld reader. You can deploy as many readers as you want across your buses to ease the movement of employees in and out of the bus. This is very easy to apply. So let's see an example of this on XPressEntry itself. Now we assume in this video that you have XPressEntry installed, which you see on the left of my screen here, and that you have your handhelds installed. I have two handhelds connected so I can demonstrate bus entry across multiple buses. But for this first test, let's just go in through a single bus. So the first thing we want to do is to create a zone for that bus and a door for the bus itself. So let's go into add edit info. Let's go into doors. I want to create a new door and call it bus 1. But before we do that, let's go into the zones and create a zone and call that zone bus 1. Now take note that the zone within the bus is a hazard area because your company would have to account for employees within that area. So let's set this to hazard area and then hit save. Now next thing to do is to create a door, and let's call that door bus 1 main entry. And the start zone is outside and end zone is bus 1. So hit save. Now remember that to grant access to this zone, you're going to have to add that zone into your groups. So let us go and create a group. I'm going to create two groups. I'm going to call this the bus 1 group. And in zones, I want to add bus 1. And I also want to add this to the all access group and hit save. So let's go back into our handheld and switch our handheld to bus 1 main entry. And let us demonstrate an employee moving from this parking lot directly through bus 1 into the areas. So all you have to do is to present your card when you get to the door of the bus, and you get an access granted or an access denied, depending on if you have access to this bus or not. So there's the other scenario we have is when you have multiple buses going to different areas. In this case, you can grant employees access to one bus or one zone and deny them access to another bus or another zone. This will allow you to ease the movement of employees from the parking lot. So for instance, if an employee is moving from parking lot 1, they may be given access to bus 1. And if they're moving from parking lot 2, they may be given access to bus 2. This way you can ensure that employees enter into the right bus that will take them to the right area within your complex. So let's demonstrate that by creating a new bus and calling that boss 2. So let's go back into our add edit info. Let us go into zones and let us create a boss zone and call this boss 2. And remember that this is a hazard area because you have to account for your employees. Hit save. Now let's go into the doors and create a door. Let's call that boss 2 entry. And the start zone is outside and the end zone is boss 2. And hit save. Now remember that we have a group. So we also want to create a new group. Let's call that group boss 2 group and hit save. We want to give this group access to this zone boss 2 and hit save. And we also want to give the all access to that zone. So let's go back into our entry exit and see how that works. Let us modify Jackie's account and give her access to that boss. So let's go into users and modify Jackie and give her access to boss 2 and hit save. Now let's go back into add edit info. So if we go back into the handheld, let us switch this handheld into the door boss 2 entry. And now let us try to enter Jackie and see. There you go. Jackie is granted access into boss 2. And even though Jackie is granted access to boss 2, she still would not have access to boss 1. So if she goes into the wrong boss, she will be redirected to the right boss she is to enter. You can use this for various applications across your facility and across your organization. And you can deploy as many handhelds as you want across your buses. Now, one last thing to note is that our validation is by groups or zones. So if you want to ensure that you're validating by groups or zones, you need to go into your settings and ensure that your reader validations is set to zones. If it's set to readers, then you're going to have to give each reader an access in that group. Now, this brings an end to this video. Please feel free to reach out to us at helpdesk@Telarus.com for any technical queries or sales@Telarus.com for any product inquiries. Thank you.